today's video, we're going to Welland, Ontario to see Chris Smith, owner of King of the Attic Recording Studio. Our good friend Sid is going to talk with Chris about what goes on in the studio and tour this analog paradise. Please remember to subscribe, hit the bell. It lets us know you like our content, and it's free. Now let's turn things over to Sid.
I'm here with Chris Smith,
King of the Attic.
King of the Attic.
Same as the band, King of the Attic.
So tell us about what the studio is about.
Well, basically, we specialize in live off-the-stage production. It's geared towards almost any heavy rock or or commercial type of band or whatever, but you're playing live at the time, as I say, in the setting with your equipment the way that you normally would play it, as opposed to modifying it or moving it around or covering it up or putting it in another room. There's different ways to record different things, but here it's geared towards setting up and playing in a live situation and then trying to capture it.
Oh yes, can you show us about the setup? Maybe the tricks?
We're going to start basically with our live house kit, and basically it's a fairly normal rock type of kit, but most drummers, they set up fairly similar, but I'm not a drummer by nature, but basically I know the ins and outs of being able to record them.
What would they expect when you record them?
They obviously want to get a sound close to what they're used to naturally, but in a live situation, if they're used to what their kit sounds like live, then they're just going to get on here and just play and leave the rest to us. Because if you come in with your own kit, or the same as you'd be going to a gig or a concert or whatever, by the time you set that all up, try to tune it a certain way, try to figure out what you want to do with the mics and the situation around there. This way, the drummer can just get up and play.
It seems like they have 12 mics on the drums alone.
Yeah.
So anything can be heard, depending on what you want after the fact of the recording.
Yeah, they're all on separate tracks.
Yes.
So all 12 of those tracks are all completely separate. Yeah. We can go back and mix them all individually later. And we have our house mix if we got an audience here, and we have another separate mix that's our recording broadcast mix that's going to all our cameras. And when we're doing our final edits and whatever we're doing, we still can go back to those 24 tracks, but we have a running mix, just as if you went to a concert and it's mixed out front. So
you talk about the amps.
Okay, so this is my particular setup here, double 100-watt Marshall heads, 4 cabinets. That's what I use typically as my normal rig. Sometimes I add another couple of cabinets. There's 6 more heads back there. Sometimes I swap them out and do different things with them. Bigger venues, sometimes I'll use 4 heads and put each cabinet on a head. So I do that, but this is just kind of my get it a little bit compact.
What would the guitar players expect when they record with you?
Well, there again, normally they bring their own amps that they're used to, because they may not be used to a rig that's big. So basically, we would just cover this up or move it back, and they could just set their amps up according to what they want to. Now, I have a couple of Fender amps. I have 4 vintage Fender hand-wired tube heads, and I have another 2 small Marshalls, but normally I have them bring whatever they're used to. Yeah, now the bass rig, that's a house rig, and we leave it here because there again, with the levels that we play at and most of our clients play at, we're emulating what we do when we go and play a full-size concert stage.
Awesome.
So that rig will keep up with my rig and the amplification of the drums and everything in a concert situation. So that rig, it basically stays here. The bass that's being recorded is through DI boxes, which is normally done even in a concert situation anyways. And we take that and we record it separately. We don't try to stick mics in front of this amp. That is basically just for you to hear what's going on in the live situation. That's not necessarily your sound. So there again, if a bass player...
So bass players,
if your bass player is used to a certain sound, we'll record it flat and clean.
And they're adjusted right in the mix. They expect DI for everything, for maybe the guitar, so maybe if you don't like the tone, they could use the direct signal for later.
Yeah, we could DI later on. Like I said, for the amps, we would put a mic in front of it that you normally do, because most guitar cabinets, the sound
fuzzy sometimes.
You prefer the sound coming from the amp than the plugged in signal. But we can grab it with the DI and say, well, we'll save it for later. And if you didn't quite like the way you sounded on stage or whatever, we could use either or, blend them, or whatever you want. So we cover all the bases.
So Chris, what about the keyboard players? What would they
Okay, so for keyboards, it's going to be the same kind of scenario. they're going to come in, they're going to decide, where they want to set up their keyboards, how they're going to want to play. And most of the keyboard players there, again, they tend to use monitor type of amps or whatever, so they can hear themselves. So it'd be the same scenario, that they can bring whatever they're used to hearing their keyboard through, whether it's a small monitor or a small little amp or whatever. And then normally we do the same thing. We'll usually DI it, so we don't have to worry about anything interfering with the mic. Most keyboard players are used to that, and they're doing almost what we're doing. They're just bringing what they need to listen to, but they're expecting you're going to DI it and take it.
Can you show me the monitors?
Oh yeah, they're Electro Voice and Yamaha monitors.
Can you show us about the perspective of the audience? It seems to be they set up for almost like a theater base where you can see a live and then the audience. Yeah.
So basically, we have our little what we call our VIP section, and so if we're filming and we're doing some production and you want to bring in some VIPs or for some production people or whatever, you kind of want to see what you're going to do. You bring your little entourage, and we usually hold somewhere between 25 and 30 people. So that's usually enough. So if you just bring like a few people, as an audience, a few people that are interested in seeing like what you're recording with. See, most recording studio situation, you go there and you record, but they're really not set up for anybody to sit around and listen to. You may go in the control room, or have a couple of chairs or whatever, but they're not going to say, well, hey, bring 25 or 30 people that can watch it. They're going to interfere with what you're recording and what you're doing. But being that it's a live situation here, they can sit here like your audience. They're not bothering anybody. You can bring whoever you want to come to see you. So you got that aspect of it. So we try to incorporate it, all because being in a smaller venue like this, of course, we try to incorporate all those things that you would do, but then scale down.
And one thing is
because we're not in the stadium.
So if you hear what he said, literally all you need to do is bring your audience, bring your performance here, and everything is recorded all at once. Your video, your audience, your performance is all taken care of. All you need to do is perform the best you can. Now, that's a really cool,
come and have fun.
Okay, Chris. So for the audio engineering nerds over there, show us around the analog world. This is amazing stuff. As a digital person, I have no idea what's happening here.
Yeah, no, most people don't. We'll just touch on the digital aspect of the finished product that we had discussed, as far as somebody coming in and doing their 24 tracks, and then it ends up onto 24 digital tracks. This is what it ends up on. And that's a Alesis hard drive recorder. So basically, all 24 tracks are taken directly onto this machine, in addition to everything else that we're doing, but that's all done separately.
So what's the bit rate on this one?
48, and there's other cards you can go like 96 or whatever, but we generally stay in that 48 range. That's more than enough quality for what most guys want to do. And as far as sampling rate goes, we do most of the stuff at 44.1. Because we're used to basically taking it there and mastering it right on the CDs. Now, a lot of guys aren't on the CDs that much anymore, but this way there's no extra conversions to it because it's already 44 to 1, and it's got a high sampling rate, and it can go right to a CD.
And it's analog.
Well, it's analog until it gets here. What we do is we gather 24 tracks like we talked about there. Okay, so the 24 analog tracks, we bring them in. Like we said, 12 of them are drums right here, a couple are vocals, wherever there are over here. We try to deal with the 24. We can go 48, we can go a gazillion tracks, but 24 is usually enough for most guys to work with. All the compressors, limiters, gates, digital delays, anything that we want to add in, those are inserted into these channels, and it's all analog. If you're a live stream, then you're going to do that, because basically that camera mix is our live stream. If we're not live streaming, we're just retaining it.
Definitely.
And then we're taking it back and we'll mix 8 cameras and then we'll post-produce what we've done. But if we're live streaming, whatever we're mixing at the time, that goes up. But that there again, that still stays.
Yes.
So we have 8 cameras that are operating. They are all independent. They record on their own. There's also a file that comes back here to computer base, and it's recorded here as well. So it's recorded redundantly in 2 different spots.
Yes, nice.
So all the cameras have their own separate files. There's 8 separate files back here, plus a combined file. There's a stream that goes out to broadcast.
Tell us your contact, how the people can contact you.
Well, basically, you go to our website. There's kingoftheattic.com, and I think there's some links there with our email.
Thank you very much, sir.
Doesn't matter what you do, bring it here, we can do it. We can do it all here, just that we're geared for the heavier side, but we can do the quieter side too. We've got all kinds of real sophisticated Telefunken and tube mics and for singing, and so we can get a nice singer and get a nice clean sound without all this hoopla.
And I will tell you, it's really, really cool. Like, all you need to really bring is your talent and your audience, and everything is set up. This is Chris.
Thanks for having me. Look forward to seeing you.
Have a good night, guys.
Well, this place is very interesting. Thank you, Chris, for the interview and tour of the studio. If you want to learn more about recording at the studio or just book a seat at one of the shows, I will leave a link in the description below. Remember, go out, enjoy a live band. You're going to have a great time, and it keeps live music alive. Be good to each other. Music should be fun. And until next time, my name's Roy, and thanks for watching.